Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Wells of Wall Street. We have a video here on XDC XinFin. So that's XDC on the exchange. Guys, before we go into this, thank you so much for the support of the channel. Smashing through the numbers, nearly on 5,000. If you haven't done so already, do make sure that you subscribe and make sure you hit that like button if you like what you hear and see in today's video. Also, do check out our other videos. We cover quite a number of different projects in various different sectors over IoT, AI, real estate, healthcare, and many others as well. So go and check those out as well as our traditional ones. But guys, we're going to talk about XinFin here. So there's been a post quite recently in the last 24 hours about the major achievements of XDC in this year alone. And I've just been pulling out some of these aspects. We won't go into gigantic detail because it's pretty much, otherwise I'm just reading this whole page. But a couple of things to note for those out there that still didn't believe in XDC or realize what it's potentially kind of trying to aim towards in regards to trade finance, global finance in general, and its partnerships. So earlier this year, of course, we covered the DASL bridge. DSL very much the technology like a peer-to-peer system, essentially allowing the bridging of multiple DLTs, so distributed ledger technologies, and a multitude of other solutions as well. So it's worth having a look on their website just to get a bit more of an understanding of that. But the importance of this particular topic was the bridging of XDC XinFin onto the Corda network. Okay, so the Corda network is a very big institution right now in regards to trade and commercial finance and most of the other things as well. But what was interesting about this particular piece when we read about it a few months ago was that they were looking at potentially utilizing XDC as a settlement token inside the Corda ecosystem. Now, if you haven't done so, we did do a video, I think it was around this here, the wrap CBDCs on BIS. So go and check that out. It's about cross-border payments and things like this, and it was very much involving R3 Corda. And of course, when you loop that back round, I'm not saying XinFin XDC is the only project utilizing Corda, of course, because we do talk about the likes of Quant being involved in things like the Digital Pound Foundation, Avalanche, all these great companies and projects. But XDC was one of the very key ones as being sort of promoted, if you like, as the potential settlement token in this system. And when you're talking about the big major banks of Europe, particularly like Swiss and French, or the Franc Bank, as they say, and as also the UK's banking institutions, well, you're covering pretty much one of the big dominant powerhouses in the world of finance. So that's why I'm very interested, particularly in XinFin XDC's projects. So that was a couple of things that we looked at back then. And we've also got here the development of the XDC Pay extension wallet on Chrome, of which I have on here, which I've been using to transfer some across the Globiance, the first exchange built on the XinFin platform. We will do a video on that towards the end of this week and maybe next week, because we do actually have communication with Globiance on the GVEX token, and maybe just potentially our first ever AMA will be with those guys, which would be pretty awesome to talk about that and XDC's integration with them as well. So we've got that hopefully coming very soon. The compliance of ISO 20022. So we talked about this quite a bit in previous videos. Go search those out if you want to learn more. But very much the new standardization of financial messaging and compliance of smart contracts and things like this across cross-border and financial institutions worldwide. So it's very important that is followed as time goes by. I think they started using that around 2005, but XinFin themselves obviously quite new to it in the last few years. And it's very much my opinion that if you're looking for financially related projects, is to make sure that they are compliant with this, because it's a long process to get registered anyway. And secondly, if they've already got it, kind of shows you that they're ahead of the game and they're already involved with high standardizations and big projects and portfolios in the world already. So do bear that in mind. World's first and second trade finance NFT created with Trade Tech. Okay, so Trade Tech absolutely huge as well. with the intent to scale. Now, guys, got to think about this. We talked about this yesterday briefly about NFTs. NFTs aren't just about collectibles and art, guys. They're pretty much anything and everything that can be essentially digitalized as a contract, if you like. And we could talk about like commercial property. You could talk about buildings, all the way to really powerful sort of financial assets. And utilizing those kind of things via smart contracts and the other capabilities of blockchain for trade finance alone, this is absolutely huge. And I just wanted to put a few things out here. I was doing a bit of research on, first of all, trade finance, for those that don't know. So this is where financing of international trade flows exists to mitigate or reduce the risks involved in international trade transactions. So you've got things like reducing risk in country and corporate risk as well. But there's loads of other things that you can do in here, and particularly the trade finance products. So loads of different things here that can be applied to that system. And also I pulled out this article, which I thought was very interesting. Now, bear this in mind. I couldn't believe this. This was crazy. So banking and investment. So the banking sector, the global banking sector has an estimated market capitalization of 7.3 trillion euros first quarter of this year, as of recording, equivalent to 8.58 trillion in the global market capitalization. Now look at this. Global market capitalization, or the combined value of every listed company of every stock exchange in the world, is estimated to be $56 trillion. And it goes on to say here that this is incomplete measurement because it only measures banks whose shares are publicly traded. So if you think that this is just public, right? Imagine what the private sector must be to add on top of that. And then you've got to complete your mindset around the fact that not just XDC, of course, but there's a multitude of projects out there like Ripple, for example, Stellar, very much heavily involved in the corporate aspect, the trade finance aspect of when you talk about a market value. I'm not talking about market caps or anything like this. I'm talking about the general customer base that is available to this kind of sector. That is gigantic, let alone without the private part. So hybrid technology for me is very interesting, especially with XinFin, being able to cater for both the public and the private with their blockchain sectors. They could accommodate both of these things. And if our off-recorder is able also, which they are, to be able to bridge themselves between public and private and interlacing them individually as well, this, my friends, is a gigantic opportunity. Like I said, it's not just XDC, but it's certainly a absolute brainwave to suggest that this is a massive, massive opportunity for the years to come, in my opinion. And then finally, a couple of other points here. The utilization through forensic excellence. So very much working along the likes of US Army, for example, all of these kind of things about the tracking capabilities of assets. This, when you're looking at arms deals, for example, I mean, that's trillions and trillions of dollars in itself. I think I was reading a while back about $180 billion worth just in arms deals and things like that. Computer communications security, we're talking about cyber aspects here, smart contracts. It's incredible. We talked about global trade just a minute ago. I mean, guys, I could go on and on about this, but it's absolutely phenomenal. And I've particularly liked this bit as well. United Nations Commission of International Trade Law and MLETR for electronic transferable records on the model law. You can go on the UN site and read more about that, but very much, again, about the aspect of transactions of smart contracts and data throughout a multitude in terms of speed and efficiency around the world. And of course, when you're linked with particular trade laws built by the United Nations and big organizations like that and the World Economic Forum, that to me rings positivity. Okay, so I'm just pulling out, like I said, I'll leave some links in the description below. But it's definitely worth just really thinking, guys, when you're investing in stuff. And this is a few years old, this article. Obviously, it's evolved a lot since then. This is the kind of thing that you want to know about projects, especially in finance sector. Is this thing actually going to do anything? And when you've got the standardizations behind you, i.e. the ISO that we just spoke about, and you've got the multitude of projects and organizations like the United Nations behind you, or certainly working alongside you, wake up, because these are some of the partnerships. Of course, some of them fairly relevant and in terms of communication, in terms of finance, of course, export, particularly in the UK here, of course, with the Corda being heavily linked with the UK. You've got HM Revenue and Customs. Customer advisory, of course, big player in Customer himself was involved with Swift for over 20 years. There's a multitude of incredible organizations here, and this is just a very small amount of them. We'll go into that in a bit more detail down here. I mean, look at this. This is just this year. Obviously, massive exchange markets. If we get more tier ones, XDC's price will absolutely fly. New partners, we talked about Happy in a video previously. Of course, WadsPay, very popular. Trade Tech, massive. And of course, you've got the likes of R3 Corda, DASL at the top, Flare Finance, not to be confused with FLR. And then things that are being built on XDC thus far, we've mentioned a few of them, but Global Irons can be absolutely gigantic as it transfers over the next few years. A few wallets being integrated as well. And performance-wise, we'll go into the chart in a second, because this is something to really bear in mind, how far XDC has come in less than a year. It is quite incredible, but I just wanted to ping out some really interesting top-level stuff here for XDC, where it's going. And I just think like this is absolutely phenomenal. I'm trying to accumulate as much as I can. We went through that. Which kind of whale or fish are you in terms of XDC? I'm a minion or whatever it is. I think that's a film. I can't remember. A minnow, sorry. So yeah, we'll just have to see if I can build up to the next level of fish stages. But we'll try and cover that again in the next video just for a laugh. See if anyone's moved up at all. But loads of things going on. But particularly for me, this whole Corda bridging is absolutely phenomenal. To really look at how this works. We covered Legend Mail in a previous video. Go check that one out as well. I might leave a link to that one. Again, the initiation of smart contracts and emails and encryption and storing of those informations. Storks, of course, massive also. So there's so much, guys, so much. And on the price point mark, let's jump into the chart. Smash that like button if you like what you hear and see. I've switched from the KuCoin one to the BitFinX. The reason behind that is just so I can show you the data of a bit further out, just to show you where XDC has come from. I mean, by the way, look at this. If we go back to perhaps even like last year's position, you're looking at an eighth of a cent. But we'll just look at it for the year first of all. So very much actually in January, beginning of the year, we were around half a cent. Half a cent, guys. Absolutely crazy. I was buying a lot of mine, arguably around that sort of 2 to 4 cent mark. I was very chuffed with that, and I have been buying it around these sort of 6 cents, 10 cents on the ups, on the downs. I just want to accumulate as much as possible. I want to get a target of ideally around maybe 50,000. I'm about nearly halfway there already, so I'm very pleased with that, and I think that the future of this token and its abilities is absolutely gigantic. But look at where it's gone. Obviously, the all-time high just under 20 cents. I think confirmed that it was literally 1903, sorry. So it had a very, very good run up there indeed at that period of time. And that 19.4, sorry, 21st of August. We've had the correction. Let's just take a look at how that looks. And to reiterate, we always say we get about 30 to 70% correction on a bear move. And people who say we weren't in the bear market, well, there's your proof. We were, and that's considerable. I think that's bang on. We're going to be switching, in my opinion, XDC around very soon. What do we have as confirmations of that? Ignore today's moves. I think that's just come from the announcements of the positivity today's post. But we have the tail off on the histogram here. Let me just move that up slightly so we can see what we are talking about, if I can. If it's going to let me. There we go. So the MACD was looking today to try and switch over, but we've seen a bit of resistance already on that line. That'll be confirmed as we probably start seeing a wick today, or a candlestick wick, as it were. But the histogram is looking positive regardless, because we have had the big influx of intake, even irrespective of this bear move. The volumes have been kicking in still of over purchasing. That is tailing off. I did anticipate that to be driving off at some point, because the RSIs on all levels have been quite low. 28 on the 14, which is one of my key relative strength index indicators. For me personally, that's a very big buy signal. Anything kind of 40 under really on a 2-week one, but especially on a 28 day. So 28 days for me, as I said, I was buying the dip a few days ago, especially on that kind of leverage failure day, when it did drop. I think it was around 6 cents or something, maybe a bit lower. So 40 for me is very bang on. Obviously, it came down a bit further. I was still buying at these regions. I'm going to pause for a second in terms of purchasing, just because we're on a bit of an up stage now. So I might take some profits as we hit maybe those 50, 60 regions on the 28 day, and arguably on the 14 day, hitting maybe the 60, 70 over the next few weeks. That would be a good sort of first selling point for me personally. So yeah, the MACD very much trying to switch over. I don't think it has done just yet today. So clearly some resistance at this 7.8, 7.9 level. And that's actually, ironically, a level that we covered off using the Qcoin data. We did actually believe have an area of resistance and buy opportunity at that area already. So clearly we are trying to test these higher regions again before we can bounce up. And it's kind of putting us in the mechanism as we mentioned previously here. So if you just look, I'll just draw this circle here, hope you can see it. Why does it always put things in the way? Honestly, go away. Go away. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. There we go. So we've got this area here, which we're obviously testing again, and we've had some bounce ups of resistance in August as well. So very much the June and August lines here. If we can break that, I'm not expecting it to do it immediately and within one day, but if we can certainly get support at this 7.8 cents mark and float around here for a few days, this could be really positive for XDC moving into 2022. I'm not expecting a full-blown breakout here, but certainly would be very nice to see an element of bringing this back up, because we have had this pull down to around this sort of 6, 7, 6, 9 cents. I think XDC is massively undervalued, but I would like us to see us test more, perhaps even this area here. I quite like this area because you've got the touch points around here in August, as well as the middle of September, and some resistance here recently on the 25th of November. That's probably our next target area, around this kind of between the 8.7 and that 10 cent mark. So that's our achievement target perhaps over the next couple of weeks. But more importantly, right now, I want to see a bit of a switch over happening, and it needs to be a concrete one. As in, I don't want to see just a quick dip over and then a drop down, because that gives a bit of a false move and some quick profit taking. But we're on a good move here right now so far today. Like I said, I'm not expecting that to fully last, but just keep an eye on any further dips, because I think that would be a great opportunity to grab some more if we get a bit of an underside U shape here, perhaps a bit like this kind of movement, because I'm not fully adamant that we're completely out of this yet, but I think certainly in the next couple of weeks it's going to show more positivity, as it will across multiple markets, because we've had a fair share of downward trend, haven't we, the last few months. So that's where I see us going. I think it's all about this sort of 7.5 to 7.8 cent mark, really touching on what we saw in the 9th of December here, with the highs of 7.8. So if we can trigger that, get support over there next couple of days on this fib retracement line on both the longer term and the macro level, you can just about see it pretty much touching exactly the same area. That will be significant, because that will indicate that we may have found some area of support, or potentially bounce back down here and then take it up again. But this is critical, and if we can do that, I think we start taking up these smaller areas quite quickly into 2022 for the upcoming potential bull run. So guys, we're going to wrap that up there. It's looking positive. It's a very nice little tail off wave here coming in for XDC. But hopefully you've enjoyed all the content in today's video. If you have done so, make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next XDC video. And don't forget, we have a Globiance video coming soon as well, hopefully an AMA version, which would be phenomenal, and we can really deep dive into XDC's integration, or certainly XinFin's integration into the Globiance exchange network. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.